Hey, Mark here. I have a really cool giveaway. I have 5 digital copies of the 2026 film 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple up for grabs. And if you'd like to win a copy, just shoot me a message. Be like, Mark, 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple rules. It's a great movie. It's like fantastic performances, very ambitious, well written, well directed, great time. So if you want to win a copy, just shoot me a message and be like, hey, Mark, I would love to win a copy of 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple because it's awesome. The horror sequel audiences and critics are raving about. 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple comes home. See why it's certified fresh and verified hot via Rotten Tomatoes. Get it now on digital.
Hello and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me, Megan Hoffmeyer.
Sarah Newworth, DJ Valentine, Billy Business, and Brendan Peters. This is Nani Boetes. This is Nathan Leahy. David Cross.
Jake Lewitt.
Norbert Morvan. It's Lisa Leahy. Joy Lewandowski. John Levingood. Professor Mike Dillon. Nick React. Niall Moore. Adam Youngblood Hodge. Eric Hoffmeyer. It's Johnny Nunn.
Hello and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who loves some beats and shouting. It's Niall Moore.
I am a fan of the beats and shouting. That has to be said. I've been to a Metallica gig in my time. I haven't seen the Beastie Boys, but it's definitely my niche.
Jaylah rules. We've gone through all the OG Star Trek movies, the next gen movies, the JJ Star Trek movies, and she's easily one of my favorite supporting characters in this film. And I'm just like a big Sofia Boutella fan in general, like Atomic Blonde, Kingsman, Star Trek Beyond, Hotel Artemis, Climax, like even Rebel Moon. Like she's been in some interesting movies. So I love this. This looks like she fits in seamlessly. She's funny. She has a great ship. She's always working on stuff though. It's kind of like whenever they walk somewhere, she's always working on something. But I just such a welcome addition to this, and like a smart decision from Simon Pegg to include another character to pair him up with. So yeah, this movie.
Well, yeah, because I guess they'd kind of played out the short jokes with his little assistant guy, and they needed a new foil for Simon Pegg to kind of play with. And I remember thinking when I came out of seeing this in the theater, whenever it came out, was it 2013,
16.
15, 16?
16, yeah.
So what, 9-ish years ago, being like, oh, I like how they've set up that she might go to Starfleet Academy. It would be awesome if she's in the next movie because I really liked her.
She should come back, and then they didn't make it. Like, it's kind of a bummer though that this movie only made 336 million worldwide, but I think it's light years better than Into Darkness.
It's far more enjoyable.
Yeah, it's like
it's much. It doesn't rely on the member berries. Remember when Khan was in too? Well, here's us doing Khan. It's more, okay, we are telling an actual original story with these characters, and they're reacting in reasonably believable ways. They're all recognizable as the right characters, and they get into this situation, and it's like, okay, this is how they would act in that situation.
And I think once again, this follows your theory of Wrath of Khan. It could take place on boats, and people would love it. Star Trek 4.
They could be on an abandoned island where they've found some captain who's gone native. Must go Heart of Darkness-ish.
Yep. And he keeps pulling boats in. People escape. People die. And it works.
He recruits more crew, and then eventually he takes his armada of pirate ships to go and attack the nearby port, and our heroes have to patch together a ship to chase them down and save the day.
Oh, and like I'm telling, this is easily
it's Pirates of the Caribbean 5 right there.
If I had to rewatch any of these, I think I would rewatch this one because first and foremost, like I don't the motorcycle crap. I'm not that like the motorcycle action scene. I'm not that big of a fan of, which is a shock because Justin Lin is incredible. I mean, that guy did Fast 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I also love that he brought Joe Taslim back from Fast 6 to get covered in makeup and fight Sofia Boutella, which is like action lover heaven. But I love the quiet moments in the beginning where just, they're finding 30-year-old scotch. They're just walking around. They're kind of bored. I like that the mission happens so quick, the blowing up of the Enterprise. And then I even think the way that Simon Pegg and Doug Junn split up the characters is interesting because you have Kirk, Chekhov, Bones and Spock, Scotty and Jaylah, and then Uhura and Sulu. Like you have interesting combinations that don't normally happen. Then you have, what's funny? J.J. Abrams told Simon Pegg, like, hey, I want Earth attacked again. And Simon Pegg's like, I love you, JJ. You got me in Mission Impossible 3. You got me in Star Trek, but like, let's do something else. And that's why I like that Jonestown comes in, where
you do not need to attack Earth again.
no,
there are other planets in the galaxy.
And so even if some people complain that it's so like Jonestown is wildly technologically advanced, but it looks awesome, and it's not Earth, and it has an interesting gravity system, and there's a way to blow it up. It's like an inflatable a snow globe, or snow globe in space, and it makes it interesting. There's something different there.
Yeah, it's quite reminiscent of the Citadel. I don't know if you ever played the Mass Effect games, but like they had this giant space station called the Citadel, which was like a similar kind of vibe where you just had this huge thing and all the ships would fly into it and people could walk around on the surface of it, and it was just this really kind of cool structure.
Yeah, and this looks great.
It's something we haven't. Well, all of these films are slightly guilty, like the Kelvinverse films. They're slightly guilty of going with scale. The Enterprise is about 3 times the size of what it was in the original shows, and everything else has been scaled up accordingly. So this thing is then scaled up to be ginormous as well.
It's a planet,
almost,
with water and trees. Yeah, it's kind of but it's not Earth, right? I like that. It's not Earth, and it makes sense that they would maybe put it by the nebula, and then I don't know. I like the Zoe Saldana, Idris Elba coming back, and what's interesting, when I think back to 2016, all I remember were people complaining. People weren't hot on Star Trek Into Darkness. So this one had a wave of like annoyance towards it. And people were like, oh, the Fast and Furious guys directed this. I'm like, guys, did you not watch the last 2 Star Trek movies? Like they're nonstop action. So like, why are you worried about a guy coming in to make it an action film? And then they're like, oh, but the trailer is all action. I'm like, well, just watch the movie. And then there was a controversy about the John Cho character. Like George Takei wasn't a fan of it. John Cho wasn't even a fan of it at first. And then they kind of talked, but it doesn't matter.
That was a choice they made. And I guess it was meant to be a loving nod towards George Takei. And then Takei coming out and saying, it's like, well, I always actually played Sulu as straight. It's, it doesn't help. Having members of the OG cast just weighing in and saying, oh, well, actually, no, this was different.
And then John Cho said that the character that Takei put out there was straight. And even though we're in an alternate universe, they are the same person. And then I had this other concern, which is that people would think that we were implying that sexuality was a choice. Sexual orientation was a choice, because I'm assuming that I am the same genetic Sulu that George played. And so we're implying that in a different alternate timeline, they can choose to be straight or gay. So those are things he was worried about. It's just, I don't know if it was unnecessary, but it kind of blew up. It's like, guys, like, why? This isn't that bad. And I remember Simon Pegg saying they had no time to write this movie because you had like Orsi and the other guy supposed to direct it. Then they dropped out. And then Simon Pegg was brought in. He didn't sleep at all. He and Jung like locked themselves in rooms to write this thing. But still, like, I think since it's a very cobbled together movie, they wrote it really quick. It had some negative buzz, but when you look at the scores for it now, I mean, this thing has what a 80 something percent tomato meter score. It has a 7 on IMDb, 86. It's 3.3 on Letterboxd. Like, people dug this thing. It just didn't make as much money as Paramount wanted, which is kind of a bummer because it's fun. It's a fun movie.
Yeah, it's the kind of film that it's not a franchise killer like Nemesis was.
Yeah.
Where Nemesis, we'd had kind of 2 movies in a row which just hadn't really delivered. And it was a particular nadir for the franchise and it needed a reboot. Whereas here, this was a very decent sequel. And it's 100% well reviewed. Correct. It didn't do Mad Bank, but it also did okay at the box office. Well, I don't know what was the budget.
180.
I guess that.
Yeah, so it didn't really.
It
with
got
like
what, 330, 350 off 180. That's not hideous.
not. And it but I think
And it was fun.
the best thing you said is it's not a franchise killer. And there's actually some really funny moments in here with Spock and the tracker that he has on Uhura. And
Yes, where he's it's like, and the banter between him and Carl Urban
yeah.
is excellent. Like McCoy, he just exudes McCoy, and it's like, you got a tracker on your girlfriend. Well, that wasn't the intention, but yeah, I do.
Like I love that bit. And I think the humor's good. I think Jaylah's really funny. Like I think one of my favorite lines, like, you're destroying my house. Like I love that. And then the Montgomery Scotty thing. Like I love that
Yeah,
place. And
and how she
I
always calls Kirk James, or
James T.
yeah, James T.
Like I like the beats and shouting. You take my house and make it fly. Come now, Montgomery Scotty. Just the way even her delivery is like, my house is breaking. And I love when she's like, my edge is still not off. Like I think she fits in so well. And it's a movie that, although is it canon that Spock's heart is not protected by his ribs?
That seems weird.
Like they're highly evolved species. Remember when he's like, your heart is it missed your heart by a little bit because it's in your stomach.
Well, it's yeah, it's alien physiologies are a little bit different. If you recall from the undiscovered country, not everyone keeps their genitals in the same place.
Yeah.
That that applies to other body organs too. It comes up quite a lot in the show where a new alien will come in and the doctor's like, I don't know, he doesn't seem to keep his organs in the same place where I think he keeps them. So
Got it. It just seems like a highly evolved species would have its heart protected.
you would think so.
Yeah. But that doesn't matter. Like it's still good. And like I just think that this movie now, honestly, like Idris is great, but his role, he's just another bad villain in a Star Trek movie, correct? Who just wants a
Yeah,
MacGuffin.
he's there's some kind of revenge on he doesn't like the Federation because they stopped him from being a soldier, I
Yeah.
guess.
They got rid of
They
war.
they got rid of war, so he's bringing war back to them. It's a very tenuous connection.
Yeah.
I think 100 years or so of sucking people's souls for immortality has definitely clouded his vision.
That makes sense. And then he just wants the MacGuffin that he got from the little monsters, who are adorable, by the way, and don't wear pants. And that's a great opening
That's
scene.
that's a great gag. That's something straight out of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
And they
There's
kidnap those two little buggers.
yeah,
Still not wearing pants. Yeah, so he gets the MacGuffin. Why can't he? His drone crew is insane, by the way. It's a
yeah,
legitimate mountain of swarm. Why don't they go through the nebula? They don't
because they
need that
weren't
machine.
told to.
They don't need
So
that machine though to blow up the Jonestown.
they probably didn't, but I guess they wanted to make a statement. I guess you can blow it up, but people will escape, whereas you release a what equates to a biological weapon or something like that in the thing, you just kill everyone, and you don't actually damage the infrastructure
Oh, that makes sense.
because then you've got all that's happened is everyone gets disintegrated, and then you're just like, okay, I now have this giant space station all for myself.
That's a good point. It's like starving out a fort. So you can just go into the fort as opposed to just blowing it up. Okay, that's smart. They'll just do some slight structural damage to it and then destroy the place. But I gotta say, I think the weakest thing of this, like I love the sabotage scene, I love the sabotage callback, but I think the action might be the weakest part of the film because I think the character dynamics are the best. Like
Yeah,
I love the well, I do like the chase through the Enterprise after it crashes when they're sliding down. That's all fun. But I like Spock and Bones. I like Scotty and Jaylah. I like the mundane elements of it and the tracking bits like that. When I think about this movie, I think that's what sticks out to me. But
yeah, I
also, this film
think
was rushed.
what this captures is something that was kind of lacking in Into Darkness in particular, is it focuses on the character dynamics between our actual main characters rather than the character dynamics between a couple of our main characters and the shoehorned in villain who, shock horror, is Khan,
Yeah.
who they've never met before. I'm still annoyed. Another what are we, a month later recording this, and I'm still annoyed.
That movie's not good.
Uh, but what you have here is, and what you've already alluded to, is that Pegg has done quite a good job pairing up characters who haven't necessarily interacted together in the previous movies and giving them a really natural dynamic. So you feel like, okay, these guys have worked together for 5 years or whatever. They know each other, they trust each other, they have this understanding, they have some banter, they actually like working together.
Yeah, they enjoy each other, and there's
Yeah.
no major infighting with any of them. There's no like there's a breakup, but it's not that. The breakup's handled very chill, which is nice because you don't have that drama now. And then they just allow it to be a fun Star Trek episode, which I love. I don't know. This is such a simple plot. Like they go through a nebula, they get drawn in, they crash, and then they have to stop a madman. Like you said, that could be a remote island with that person.
Yeah. And the
And
plot still works.
this movie makes me happy. I love that. I love when Sulu flies the plane down the cliff. I mean, that's been done 100 times before, but I like that they figured that out. I like that they put on sabotage, even though it's a callback to the first film. That was still like a great moment in 2016 cinema. I remember just smiling when that scene happened, and
It's incredibly silly,
yeah, yeah,
but yeah, I enjoyed it. I was like, okay, he's caught. It's a callback to the first one. It's like, okay, yeah, and having Kirk acknowledge that as well was the nice little nod where he's like, yep, this is. I approve of this music.
And then I do think the Kirk versus Idris battle at the end is, I feel like Idris would just steamroll him. Would he not? Like I don't
There
know.
were some interesting
Or
uses
Balthazar or Crawl.
of the unique physics of the place. I liked
Yeah, that's
how
true.
he used the weird gravity to kind of float, like Idris' character, whatever his name was, used the weird gravity to float back to the center by following the trail of broken glass. He was like, oh, I can see that's working. So there's like a current, and he kind of
Yeah.
used it wasn't just brute force. It was like, oh, he actually noticed something and acted based on it. He is competent.
Yeah. Just there's no drama. He's not this is the best Kirk has been, correct?
Yeah,
He's
because
not a womanizer.
he's captaining.
Yeah, that's true. Like women walk by him and he doesn't go, hey, hey. Like Jaylah walks by him and he's not like, hey there. He's just being a captain, which is
Yeah, I
nice.
think in the J.J. Abrams ones, Jaylah would have probably found an excuse to strip off in front of him just to
yeah. Don't look, and then he looks.
don't look, James T. I need to change into my battle gear.
Yeah, good job, Justin Lin. Good job not being gross or overly
Yes.
gratuitous. Even though he did direct a ton of butt scenes in the Fast and Furious movies, like
Wow.
gratuitous parties. But that was part of the franchise before he came on. So it's like kind of what you have to do. And also, I like the makeup in this film. I like the lady with the crab leg head.
Well, it was I would have said it was more of a face hugger.
Oh yeah,
head.
the face hugger head. And
It did get nominated for an Oscar for best makeup, I think.
I mean, it should have. It looks good.
Yeah.
And like I know they had to rush to hit the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, and they also had Leonard Nimoy pass and Anton Yelchin, which was an absolute bummer because I loved him as an actor. So I think they had a lot working against them. I think also 2016 cinema was just in a different place than when it was in 2009, and even when it was in 2013. Because
Well, what else was coming out? Well,
I guess what I'm saying is like
was that
Benedict
Avengers
Cumberbatch.
Infinity War? No, it was before that.
So this year was in 2016. It was Finding Dory, Rogue One, Civil War, Secret Life of Pets, Jungle Book, Deadpool, Zootopia, Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad, Doctor Strange.
That's a lot of box office heavy
Yes,
films.
A lot of box office heavy films. And I think it got lost a little bit in the shuffle of it because, I guess one thing about this film is in 2013, it was going off of the strength of the first one. And also Benedict Cumberbatch was a big ad. Like I think
Yes.
having Benny Cumby in it was like a pretty big deal because people were marketing the heck out of him being in that film. This one, you have the cast, and people love the cast in this movie. Zoe was doing the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Pine was doing great. But I think, Idris Elba was a good name. People love him. But they just didn't have an A-lister to really. One thing is
And
it's not like,
they didn't really need it. Just
no.
looking purely at as the film, they definitely didn't need some name just to be in there. I think everyone works. But yeah, if you want to appeal to the masses, it does help to just have a name attached to it.
And also too, I mean, MCU's big, Rogue One is big, Disney's on fire, Batman's big, but also this is a crazy year though. Warcraft made 439 million. Independence Day Resurgence made 390 million. Legend of
And that
Tarzan,
film was awful.
awful. Legend of Tarzan made 357 million. So you had Great Wall making 335 million. So Star Trek Beyond made 343. And I mean, listen, Resident Evil: The Final Chapter was making 312. So I just think it was a really crowded space for Star Trek Beyond. And I don't think Star Trek Into Darkness did it any favors. I remember people talking about how much the production was rushed. Like even Simon Pegg said he had no time to write it. I feel like they were making a lot of excuses for it before it came out. And then no one had watched it. And then everyone watched it, liked it. But then, like we said it like many times, it just didn't make much money, which is kind of a bummer. And I don't know. I it was such a packed time though. I don't know if this would have made money during this because like is Star Trek Beyond a $700 million grosser?
I mean, this is something we've discussed with other films in the franchise as well. Star Trek's not a tentpole franchise.
Yeah.
It's not one that does ridiculous numbers at the box office. It is a little bit more niche. So for it to do 340 million worldwide, that's a decent take,
Yeah, absolutely. And it made 176 million worldwide.
which
Off.
is fine.
Do you think the problem with Star Trek sometimes is that they can't have a $180 million budget?
Yes.
I think the reason being is I think this one was so expensive because it was rushed. I think they had to work many hours overtime, create. And I think the VFX was rushed and it all looks great, but I think they had to pour a lot of overtime money into this and have very long days of shooting. But yeah, I think if you make a Star Trek movie, it needs to have like $100 million movie, a budget. I don't know how that's
Yeah.
possible, but if you do one now, you can't spend $200 million on it.
No.
No.
It doesn't have the broad appeal to be able to draw in enough audience to make that back. I think you reboot Star Trek is, I think, undergoing another reboot at Paramount. Paramount
Yeah.
don't know what the hell to do with it. Yeah, they just cancelled a couple of the animated shows, which were actually phenomenal. Both of them, Lower Decks and Prodigy, they were both really, really good. They're going to wind down Strange New Worlds, which is kind of the only one that's ongoing at the moment. I think they're giving it 5 seasons total. Like they've agreed to that, and I think we're in season 3 at the moment. And then they've got a couple of other shows that are in development, but they don't really have an overarching plan, and they don't really seem to want to commit to putting anything into a movie. The last movie that came out, for example, did not do well. It was
Oh yeah, it tanked.
god awful. It was well, we'll get to it when we talk about it. It's one of those productions that was full of problems and everything went wrong and it's a mess and we can try and find something good in it, I guess. But this one it was a bit rushed, but you had enough good people working in the right roles that they were able to build something out of it. So Justin Lin, he can direct a tight action film.
Yes, absolutely.
Simon Pegg, we know he can write a good kind of comedy action film. Look at the Cornetto trilogy, for example. He can do that blend of humor and action and a little bit of off the wall sci-fi as well. And he's familiar with the franchise. So he was able to kind of get something that was good enough in place where you have an enjoyable movie. But it's still got the stigma of being a Star Trek movie. So you go to a casual stranger on the street and say, "Hey, you want to watch a Star Wars movie? Do you want to watch a Star Trek movie?" They'll be like, "Oh, Star Trek, that's a bit geeky. I guess I'll
Mhm.
watch the Star War." It just doesn't have that widespread appeal.
Do you think this would have done better if it was released instead of our Into Darkness? Because
Probably.
Into Darkness, I remember leaving it and just going, that wasn't it. I remember being like, yeah, it was fast paced and it was fine, but I just distinctly having this feeling that I did not enjoy that too much. This one, I think it doesn't take any big swings, but I don't think they had time for big swings with this movie.
No.
I think Simon Pegg was like, him and Doug Jung were supposed to write this movie. They're like, okay, we have to pare this back to the basics. And so they kind of eliminated any gigantic mystery box crap or big swings or timey-wimey stuff and just told a really straightforward story. So I think if it was released in 2013 without all the hullabaloo and controversy, I think, yeah, it probably would have made 500 million. And I think by making the unit tighter with this film, I think the follow-up, if they would have made it like a 2016 one, this is all hypothetical, but I think it would have been better because of the dynamics in this film are so much better than they are in Into Darkness. And we have Jaylah.
Yeah, well, I know Pegg has written various treatments for a Star Trek 4, and they've been sitting in development hell forever. There's still talk of them potentially doing it. No appetite from Paramount to do it, but he still talks about it occasionally. I think he would still like to make another one.
I think everybody, I think people would come back for this and give it $120 million budget, make sure it's good. And they started shooting this movie in June and it had to be released the following July. That's a pretty tight schedule.
They should have got Frakes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd have done it in
you got
30.
a week.
Like, week? I only need 3 days.
Yeah, I think they like, and also too in January 2015 they hired Simon Pegg and Doug Jung, and then they started filming this in June.
So that's a pretty quick turnaround.
And I think this movie's almost if you're going to look at two writers who had their backs against the wall and had to come up with something really quick, because you have to build sets, you have to create sets, you technically you should have your script done 4 months before you start shooting. So I think they probably saw what they had and then just created it. And it's kind of a miracle that the movie looks as great as it is. And it's also too, you had to balance everyone's schedules, because I know Pine was busy, Saldana was busy, all these actors were busy at the time. But I think, I don't know, I think it's a very elegant and simple and fun movie. And it doesn't have the sweeping villain like 2. It doesn't have the fun and fantasy of 4. It doesn't have the revenge heavy antics of 6. In First Contact, it's not as dire, it's not as scary. But I think it stands amongst them in just its rewatchability and fun.
Yeah, I came out of the cinema having watched this with a big smile on my face.
Yeah.
Because that's what it was. It's a fun movie. It has a very easy to follow plot. It has fun characters. It's not all, it came out the same summer as Batman versus Superman, which is very kind of grim, dark. I'm like, oh, I'm Batman, but our mothers have the same name, so I guess I'll help you, Martha. Yeah, this kind of, and where everything seemed to be filmed through this monochrome filter where there's no color, no life in anything. It's all, okay, everything is dark and these shades of dark blue, and this is what worlds look like. Whereas this Yorktown was bright and white, and even on the planets, the landscape was kind of interesting. It was all jagged rocks and stuff, but there were some interesting kind of colored bits, and it was I don't know where Jaylah found a working motorbike, and secondly, I don't know where she got petrol to fill it up so that you could actually drive it, given that the half-life of petroleum is only a few years.
Timey-wimey oil.
Timey-wimey.
Yeah.
It's timey-wimey oil, not actual oil.
And also covering the ship for that many years, because she hasn't been living there that long. So no one noticed it before she put the reflectors on it. But yeah,
I guess there aren't that many people there who are alive and not captured by
Those scavengers that she beats up, are they part of his army?
I'm assuming, but there could be other groups of scavengers, I guess.
Not a lot is explained. I will say when it comes to this movie, if it falls apart pretty quick, but they had 4 months to reconfigure this script and then less than a year to shoot it and put it in theaters. So I can excuse that because it's still a good film. It's funny what we can excuse sometimes. I think if a movie is fun and leaves you with a smile on your face, you won't think about the Crawl's plan. You won't think about the people on that or the motorbike or any of those type things because you're like, I liked it. It was a good time. And I think now that we're talking about it, we're coming up with that. But that's something that's never crossed my mind when I thought about this movie because I just think about how fun Sofia Boutella is and the multiple dynamics of the crew and then the interesting beginning and a little alien who doesn't wear pants. I love that little guy. But yeah, I don't know. I think they just did a good. I'm not trying to sound condescending, Niall, but I think Simon Pegg and Justin Lin, for what they had, they did good.
Yeah, it's by all the metrics we've looked at, box office, critics ratings, IMDb, Letterboxd, etc. It's objectively a good movie. It's
we're not. Yeah, we're not. I'm not trying to like talk down to it, but it's just good. It's kind of hard to talk about because it doesn't. It was rushed, but it was handled well.
And the thing is, there's also the pace is breakneck. It just once it gets going, it's like right, we are going, and we're not stopping until the ending credits, basically.
That's it. And then it's that first attack when the ship gets ripped in half. Like that's a good scene.
That's brutal. That's I guess enterprises are not allowed to survive third movies in franchises. Or
yeah, exactly.
They killed off the D in Generations, but they in Search for Spock in Search for Spock they blew up the Enterprise, and then this one they've blown up another Enterprise.
How would you rank them?
Well, I think bottom has to be the Enterprise D getting outgunned by a Klingon bird of prey because Geordi got his visor hacked.
Yeah. In Generations, yeah, that's
it's just like, oh my god, like you guys are ridiculous. He's just been held captive and tortured, but sure, send him right back to work. That's a great idea.
Yeah, get the frequency. Oh my gosh.
I would say this one would be second. It's very visceral.
Yeah.
It's completely outgunned and just gets blown up, and you end up with it was a shot similar to Generations where you have the saucer kind of going down and landing on the planet and crashing. I think Search for Spock is the best with Kirk's fake out with the self-destruct. It's just a brilliant piece of characterization where Kirk is like, all right, let's see if these Klingon bastards figure this out.
And then they all get blown up.
And they all get blown up.
That's my ranking too. Like that was so they allow him back. They do no scans on him. And he just gets and like, it's a bunch of bozos too on that bird of prey.
It's the Duras sisters who are kind of, their brother was a villain in a couple of episodes and they were kind of bystander, and then they came back and kind of they were bit part players in about 3 or 4 episodes, and all of a sudden they're the ones who take down the Enterprise. It's very annoying.
Very annoying. And then the second one's just a nice visceral scene. The third one is kind of like a chess match.
Yeah.
And he outplays them. So I think that works. And also I want to talk about the fight choreography during the Joe Taslim versus Sofia Boutella fight. The thing I like most about that is there's some, Joe Taslim, he was in Fast and Furious 6, The Night Comes for Us, The Raid. He's an incredible action actor. And so for Sofia Boutella by that time, it had also had, she's a dancer, but she also knew how to train. There are some scenes where she throws 5-6 strikes without a cut. And I know that's not a lot, but for, when you watch Captain America Winter Soldier, there's 43 cuts for one strike. That's obviously not true, but it's all cut up. So it was fun to watch her throw 5 kicks. It was fun to watch her run away from him. She's outmatched, but she's trying to move and like keep away from him, run upstairs. It's a good fight scene. And it's two good actors.
it helps when you've got performers who are comfortable with the rough stuff.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do cuts to be like, okay, this is where we throw the punch, and here we're gonna have your stunt double here getting hit, and then your stunt double is gonna get hit by this guy, and then we do all of this. It's where you have the choreography can involve the actual actors, and it's just much more natural, and they can kind of that's why if you look at the lightsaber choreography in New Star Wars or in the Ahsoka show where Hayden Christensen was doing his own lightsaber stuff, it's like, okay, he's still got it.
Yeah. Now he got it, right? No, absolutely. And there's a scene where Joe Taslim kicks Sophia Botella and she goes flying. Like I don't know if it's her stunt person or not, but I like that the kicks had some weight to them. And it's just a good scene. And I
Well, you
appreciated that
want
about it. And I like that Kirk went back for her. That's like Kirk's just like Kirk is a good dude in this. And I love that he goes back. That made me very happy. And also, as real quick, cinematographer Stephen F. Winden, the guy's legit. He had done Fast and Furious 6, so he had worked with Justin Lin before. And so he he did Fast 5 as well. And so I think he also shot The Pacific, which is awesome. But I love I think and Deep Blue Sea. I just want to get that out there, everybody. Greatest movie ever made. But I think since he had a shorthand with Justin Lin, Justin Lin had worked with John Cho before. Idris had worked with Zoe Saldana before. I think they all sort of did this. They just cast well, and they hired smart people. And even though it was rushed, Justin Lin brought in his DP. The villain knew Zoe. They had worked before, so I think I just think they did it smart. Like, this is a movie that I think was handled well, and the people brought in did a fine job with it. And that's I know Star Trek Into Darkness has a 7.7 on IMDb, which is insane.
like 86% on Rotten Tomatoes,
I don't
which is
understand what's
also
wrong.
insane.
Maybe it's just big. This one only has a 7, but I do think that that's fair because it's just a well put together rush job that was done well by smart people. And so I guess it doesn't deserve anything more. And I don't think it would have made a lot at the box office, but I just like how they did it. And I think it's a smart film. I think it has some good decisions, and I love it. I would say for me, if someone said, Mark, which you can take one Star Trek movie with you to an island where you'll start an army and hopefully attack build an armada one day and attack somebody, which one would you take? I'd probably take this one because it doesn't have the drama. It doesn't have pissed off Kirk. It doesn't have I would take this one. This is the one I would take. I would take this one.
For me, I'd take 4.
4. Yeah, the whales, and it's just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that would be 2, I think. And then 6. 6 is great, but Kirk is so pissed. And First Contact has so many stakes to it. So I think, this one or 4 are the most rewatchable by far.
They're definitely the most fun.
Yeah. Because this is, I don't know. And I hate that people are like, I just don't understand it, where JJ's movies were like nonstop action movie fluff. The Star Trek Into Darkness ended with a fight scene on top of a flying vehicle on Earth after it crash landed. But then people are like, oh, this one's too action oriented. And you're like, what is happening here? Star Trek fans are an odd lot. And
they are.
I don't understand that complaint from them, but I don't care. This is the best of the Calvin ones, I think, now that we've rewatched them. And it's up there with the most rewatchable. I don't think it's the best movie of the lot, but I do think it's, like you said, the most fun and rewatchable.
Yeah, it's definitely the most fun. I think probably the first JJ one is slightly better. He did quite a good job of just introducing the characters and just nailing the casting so well. But in this film, you have those choices paying off where all the characters are so well cast and they actually have some fun dialogue to say as well.
Absolutely. And also, I just want to give a shout out to Mike Gunther. He also did Fast 5, and he was a Justin Lin guy. He had worked with him before.
Well, that's how you got to do it, right? Like,
yeah.
if I suddenly got pulled into some random project,
Yeah, yeah.
I know I would be calling a couple of people who I have worked with closely before, who I know I can trust to get the work done. And that's kind of how it works. I would be on the phone, be like, right, look, I need someone who can do this, right? I'm going to call that dude. It's like, I need someone who can do this. I'm going to call this guy. I need someone who can crunch a bunch of useless movie data. So Mark, we call you.
I'm on it. I just found out too. The guy who did the stunt choreography, he was Chris Pine's stunt double on Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness, and then
Oh,
he worked
nice.
on Fast Five with Justin Lin, and then he Mike Gunther, and then he was brought in to be the stunt coordinator on this film. So not only did he have a shorthand with Justin Lin, but he had a shorthand with Chris Pine.
Which makes a big difference.
Man, I know that this movie does.
It's a bunch of good choices.
Yes, there it is. I know this should be called Star Trek Good Choices, or like make the best of what we have in a very quick time. But I like that. I know this sounds odd, but I like when movies make smart decisions and you could trace it back. And
It's
so,
yeah, it's like, I've been playing like quite a bit of online chess, and sometimes you'll make a complete cock up and the game is lost, but you're still like playing the game, and then you'll like review the game. It's like, well, that was the best move available to you, and that was the best move. And so you're just like, yeah, I made like a bunch of really good moves after this enormous cock up back here. But so I made the best of it.
you still lost.
Didn't necessarily win, but I made the best of my poor situation.
I think we did it. Any other thoughts about Star Trek Beyond?
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, go watch it because it is a lot of fun.
It's a good time. It's it's probably one of the harder ones to talk about in that I know that like I said, because you and I like Star Trek, the first one and three and five, those had some very like egos involved and a lot of studio interference. This one just they had to get it out by 2016 because of the 50th. But then when they finally figured things out, I feel like they just hired the right people and let them cook. And then we got this movie. And it's not a franchise killer, but it's not a franchise saver either. But it's still a lot of fun.
And I don't think the franchise actually needed saving at that point. It was
Yeah,
on relatively strong footing.
good point. We have one movie left, Niall.
Oh yeah, it's a doozy. And I will be really this is another one, so it's going to be one completely out of left field because you won't have seen a lot of what is referenced in this next one. It's kind of its own separate thing.
I'm looking forward
I
to
guess they
it.
were trying to do Rogue One, but it did. It's like here's a new set of characters doing things in your universe, and yeah, it was not well executed. Though I saw
Look,
a thing from Michelle Yeoh today saying, "Oh, she still liked it and thought they had like a good time making it. Everyone really enjoyed it." So
but that's sometimes I think the worst movies come out of that. When there's people like, man, we had a great time. And then you watch it and it's just totally, I think all the great movies, when people talk about making it, they talk about how terrible it was. But then you
yeah,
hear people like, this was great. I loved working on this. And then it's just a movie.
it's like yeah, the if the crew hasn't tried to poison the director, you're not making anything.
Like Titanic.
Yeah. I
Oh,
wonder if
man.
anyone tried to poison him on Avatar. Maybe that's why they're not so good. He needs to get that level of hatred in the crew.
Any other final thoughts about this movie?
I just really hope that Simon Pegg does get his wish and they get to make another one and they get to bring back Jaylah.
Yes. She's so great. And she's done with Sky Academy or Starfleet now Academy, and she can join the crew.
Yeah, maybe she can replace Chekhov, given that Anthony Yelchin is no longer with us.
Yeah, just on there being sassy and not wanting to wear her uniform. She's like of all the supporting. I like. Well, this is another episode. We'll have to talk about this later because I don't know if I could think about all this yet. But she's got to be one of my favorite. Like I like the lady a lot from Four, who I forget the name, who
The
works at
whale
the.
biologist.
Yeah, she's cool. Like I love her in that movie. She's a good character, and I like Khan's crew in Wrath of Khan. I'm like, yo, dude.
The blonde dude with like the ripped open shirt who's like, hey, maybe we've got a ship. We don't need to go killing Kirk.
Yeah, yeah. Off the top of my head, those are my top 3 favorite new additions to each movie who have stuck out in my memory because I like all of them. So I'm gonna go with that.
There are a few, yeah, there are a few other good ones, but yeah, I think she is definitely top tier.
Yeah. Well, we you know what? After we're all said and done, maybe we could, you know, maybe do our favorite something out of it. We'll see.
Yeah.
But well, hey man, thank you for joining me. And where can people find you?
I am at El Nilo on most of the things.
He's just jet setting around the world, crushing it.
Try.
He's about to go watch some Netflix. Or is it Amazon? Or is it NBC?
This one's on Disney, I think.
All right, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining me. So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for Niall Moore, this is Movie Sons of Flicks. We'll see you next week.